deputies and myself felt that some Brelades with a population of over 10,500 deserved a meeting on its own in regards to some of the electoral changes that are being put forward. I'm not going to go into any great deal with the in regards to electoral changes, other than that we will be debating P18 very shortly, and 2 amendments to it. P18 brings into force the amended P133, which makes various changes to the electoral districts.
Could you use the microphone, please? I can only just hear.
Hello? Hello? Okay. P18 brings into force, or will be bringing into force if it's passed, the changes that P133, the amended P133 that was debated in February. The first amendment, I believe, I'm sure there are people here tell me if I'm wrong, just changes some of the makeup of the districts. That's brought by Andrew Lewis. And Amendment 2, again, is just another, the changes that included in that are the removal of the senators, which takes us back, I think, to the unamended P133. But we're here really to talk about P18, get the views of parishioners in regards to whether they think, or whether you think, those changes are acceptable changes, ones that you support. Obviously, it's moving away from a parish-based electoral system to a district-based system. Obviously, retaining the constables for the parish link, which supports the referendum decision back in 2014 in regards to keeping the constables in the states. But I'm sure we're going to go into a lot of areas tonight that will touch on some of those issues. I'm going to hand over to Montford, who wants to say a few words. The other 2 deputies, Deputy Norton and Deputy Truscott, are welcome to say if they want to help say anything in regards to any opening remarks, and then I'll hand over to Deputy Lafondre, who's Chair of the Corporate Services Scrutiny Panel, who's carrying out the current review, just to give us a brief outline of the terms of reference that the panel have got in regards to their review. If that's okay.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Steve. And thanks for coming out. I know it's a sunny Friday evening, and there's probably some better things for some people to do, but not for us, clearly. I think the reason we've called this meeting, there's different reasons for it. I think one is so that we can go back to the States and say, look, we have consulted with our constituents in either the district or the parish. It's also an opportunity to hear your views on the subject for those people who have made the effort to come out tonight. And also, if you want to ask us any questions either about what we think or why we've supported these in its current form and what our thoughts are, I think, again, for accountability purposes, it's quite right that we give you the opportunity to do that as your parish and district representatives. So I know some of you will be fairly well briefed already, and there's also an opportunity in a moment to hear from the chairman of the scrutiny panel who are looking at these proposals and will be bringing back some kind of comment and report to the States on their consultation, and which we'll obviously be interested in as well. So I think if we talk about broadly what the options are on the table and perhaps how we got here, and then I think we can open it up to the floor. But after we've done that, John, if you're happy with the explanation we've given, or if you want to add anything to that, then that'll be your chance to do that just after this part, if that's okay. Okay. So many of you will know that electoral reform's been going on for quite a long time. It really started in earnest in the modern era in 1999, when the Clothier panel was commissioned to do a root and branch survey about the machinery of government. And part of that, a significant part of that, was of course looking at the redistribution of seats. And it wasn't just an English person coming over. A very eminent QC, of course, came over to the island, but it was a mixed panel with Jersey-based input on that, and they came out with their proposals, which were to have one type of states member elected in parish-based constituencies. Of course, some of the Clothier recommendations to do with the machinery of government did get implemented, but the electoral reform never did get implemented. So we ended up with ministerial government, but without the corresponding electoral reform and the simplification of one type of states member to go with it. There's clearly been a lot of history since then. There have been any number of propositions and attempts to reform the current Assembly, with only limited success in getting, or if you call it success, in attaining a general election day and reducing the number of senators from 12 down to its current lot of 8. Apart from that, there hasn't been any change in the state's composition. You'll know about the referenda that took place in 2013 and 2014. You'll no doubt have your own opinions about the success or otherwise of those referenda. But one of the outcomes was, from the Electoral Commission, a new idea to have larger district-based constituencies, which somehow or other would amalgamate different parishes, apart from in St Helier, which would be divided into 2, making 2 large districts, still bigger than the deputy districts they've got at the moment. So Deputy Andrew Lewis had made a promise in his election that if he was re-elected in 2014, he would relodge the referendum results as he saw it, which was option B, with a slight tweak to give St Helier 1 extra deputy in each of those St Helier districts for greater proportionality with regards to their population. And so that's where it's come from. So the proposition originally on the table was to remove senators, have large-based constituencies, but to retain constables as per the second referendum result.
Opinions already, last week and this week, and no doubt there'll be plenty more apart from this opportunity here. And it'll be interesting whether people feel that equality of voting is where they want to go, or whether they want to maintain a status quo where some elected members have more of a voice than others, in terms of they represent less people. And no doubt there'll be other conversations that come around that, but I'm really keen for your opinions and for your thoughts. But for the record, I favour, as I do with most things, I favour equality. And that goes for equality of representation too.
I'll project if that's okay, so I actually prefer to operate that way. Can you hear me?
The audience might prefer you to
thank you very much.
to use the microphone, because 1 in 6 people do have a hearing impairment.
No, I'll be using my voice.
Okay, you will ignore the deaf then.
I will indeed.
Yeah, so that's very good of you.
Thank you for that, Mike. But anyway, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight, and both Deputy Teddier and I visited or attended the meeting at St Juan that was called by scrutiny. There were a total of 31 people that attended. Now, the 31, what I call the plasma of our parishes, the actual cement that keeps the parish system going. I want to thank them for coming up as well. But when you consider that between the 3 parishes, that you're looking at 15,000, 16,000 people, and all we could do was muster 31 people. It's not, a great advert for how people are connected with politics. Plainly, the people here tonight are, and they care very much about our parish system, and I'm so grateful for you all for coming. I'm here to listen as well. I listened the other night, and I got the message from the people that attended. It seems that they want to retain the parish system. They very much covered the parish deputy to represent them all. And it's just, that is so important, obviously, to people. The other thing which is important is the senators. We've had no mandate as the Assembly to actually get rid of senators. And so far I've been supporting retaining senators in the Assembly. So on that basis, I'll listen tonight. We'll hand over to John Lafondre, and we'll take it from there.
Could I just ask, Monty referred to the record. For the record, is there a record being kept tonight?
Probably not.
No,
There's no record.
We'll be taking our individual notes.
But there's no record, not for the purposes of the scrutiny panel. There's no record.
Well, that's the map for the scrutiny.
I think it's people's memory and there's a
proposals that the States will be debating on the 6th of June. Your Cunliffe Tower have asked me to run through the terms of reference. They are to examine the legislation. They are to understand public knowledge of the proposals, to examine proposed changes and actually assess any financial costs if we can. In terms of our work, we've been given a very, very short time frame to do the work we've got to do. And basically our report will need to be written by next Wednesday, and bearing in mind it's Friday evening and there's a bank holiday Monday in there, so our officers, one of whom is here tonight, has quite a lot of work to do. In terms of the work we have done 5 public meetings which have been attended by 150 people broadly. This does not include tonight, because obviously this is not run by ourselves, it's run by your representatives from Brelade. We've done 6 public hearings, which is when we've had people in front of us and just quizzed them a little bit and explored certain areas with them. There are transcripts of those, and they are on the website, will be going on the website. We've had to date about 50 written submissions, and we've also run a Mori poll which has contacted 1,030 people in the island. We are in the process of receiving those results, and that will form quite a significant part of our report. So in other words, we've got a balance between the people who've attended meetings such as this, and then we've tried to do a reasonably random sample, hopefully statistically valid, across the island to gauge people's views. I think that's probably enough from me. So really we're here to just listen. We were invited to attend. We're here just to listen to your views, to gauge whether they're similar or not to the other meetings. I would just say we were asked to bring a comment slip that we've been using on the other meetings, and they are at the back. So in other words, if you do have any comments and want to email them to us or just fill in a slip, please do so, but we need the responses tonight. We're that close on the deadline. As a scrutiny panel, we're meant to work on an open basis, so we don't accept anonymous submissions. If you put your name and email address and then the comment if you wish to. If you want it confidential, just write confidential at the top and it will not be made public. There is also, but that's at the back, the equivalent handout that I think Monty has produced, which we've been giving at all the meetings. If it's slightly longer, and if you wish to use that for information, it's at the back. I think hopefully that's enough. If anybody's got any questions, please